You ever have someone act one way around others and then flip the switch the second the room empties? That kind of behavior twists your stomach because it makes you wonder which version is real and which one is aimed directly at you. That's what was happening with my girlfriend's dad. And before anyone says, maybe he was just awkward, trust me, there was nothing awkward about it. It was calculated, too warm, too familiar, and way too personal for a man who could barely look me in the eye in public. I didn't go looking for problems. I didn't go digging for drama. I honestly thought this family would just be normal. But apparently, normal was too much to hope for. The weirdest part, everyone else only saw the cold, stiff version of him, the man who acted like shaking my hand was a chore. But behind closed doors, when no one else was watching, he treated me like I was someone he'd been waiting for. And I didn't understand why until much later. When I first started dating Lily, I knew family was important to her. She's one of those people who keeps birthdays on her calendar, sends postcards on holidays, and actually remembers everyone's favorite dessert. I'm not built like that. I'm more the, oops, your gift is running late because I forgot to order it type, but I loved how she made life feel more connected. So when she said she wanted me to meet her parents, I actually felt excited. Nervous, but excited. Her mom was great warm in that Midwestern way where she offers you snacks before you even sit down. Her dad, though, completely different energy. Picture a man whose handshake feels like he's trying to tell you he's the alpha without saying a word. His smile didn't reach his eyes. His tone was polite, but clipped, like he was reading lines from a script he didn't like. And the entire dinner, he barely acknowledged me. Not rude, exactly, just pointedly uninterested. If you've ever been in that situation, you know the vibe. He talked to Lily, then to her mom, then to her brother, then skipped right past me like I was a chair someone forgot to move. Whatever. Some dads are overprotective. I get it. But that was before things got strange. The first time it happened was after dinner, when Lily went upstairs with her mom to find an old photo album. Her brother wandered off to call his girlfriend. Suddenly, I was alone in the living room with her dad. I braced for small talk, or interrogation, or the classic, what are your intentions with my daughter? Instead, he relaxed. Completely. Like someone loosened the bolts holding him together. He sat down next to me, not across, not diagonal, right next to me, and asked if I wanted a beer. His tone was friendly, too friendly, like we were old buddies. Then he started talking, not about sports, not about work, not about Lily, no. He dove straight into extremely personal, deeply emotional stories. Stories you don't tell someone you met 2 hours ago. Stories about regret, fatherhood, mistakes, loneliness, and a son he barely got to know. That line stuck with me, but I didn't press him. When the rest of the family came back, he immediately stood up, moved a few feet away, and snapped back into the icy, distant version of himself. It was like watching someone close a window before anyone noticed it was open. I told myself it was a one-time thing. Maybe I misread it. Maybe I imagined the shift, but it kept happening. Every single time we visited, if we were all in the same room, he ignored me. If Lily left to grab something from her car, he'd suddenly start telling me about the job he hated, the counselor he used to see, the way he wished life had gone differently. If his wife stepped into the kitchen, he'd ask me if I preferred fishing or hiking, like he wanted to plan trips together. He'd ask me questions about my childhood that were too specific, like he was mapping something out. If her brother left the house, he'd lean in and say, "You remind me of someone." It's like deja vu. If multiple people left and it was just the two of us, he'd open up like a cracked dam. But the second someone re-entered the room, he switched off the friendliness like it was illegal. The more it happened, the more it got under my skin. Because here's the thing, when someone treats you one way in private and another way in public, you stop trusting both versions. You start wondering what the act is hiding. And I started wondering, why was I the only one he did this with? A few months in, the stories he told me started getting more personal, more intense, and honestly, darker. He talked about losing touch with someone he cared about, and he wouldn't say the name, but he said it was a boy. Someone who should have been part of the family. Someone he still sets a place for in his mind. I didn't know what to say. It didn't seem like something I should comment on. But when I'd shrug or nod politely, he'd stare at me, like he was waiting for me to say the exact right sentence. And when I didn't, he'd look disappointed. He also started asking about my relationship with my own dad. He'd ask things like, did your father ever push you too hard? Was he distant? Did he ever leave? Do you ever feel like you had to grow up without guidance? The questions weren't casual. They were probing, heavy, loaded, like he needed my answers for some emotional puzzle. At one point he said, you're about the age he would have been. I asked, who? He blinked, swallowed, and muttered, never mind. Forget I said that. Lily hardly noticed any of this. She grew up around his cold, locked-down public personality, so she didn't think twice. Whenever I told her how open and emotional he got with me when she wasn't around, she looked confused. She said he never talks like that. Not to her, not to her brother, not to her mom. The only time she questioned it was when she walked downstairs and found her dad standing close to me, telling me a story about his childhood. He stepped away so fast she actually laughed, thinking she'd interrupted some serious guy talk. But when we left that night, she said something I still think about. He likes you more than he's showing. Then, after a pause, maybe more than he should. The more time I spent with him, the more obvious it became that this wasn't just friendliness. It was fixation. He'd text me, not in a creepy, hey buddy way, but in a, here's an old photo of a house I used to live in way. Random, nostalgic, personal. He even asked me to grab lunch with him, just the two of us. When I said Lily might want to come, he said, no. This is just between us. Between us? I wasn't his therapist. I wasn't his son. I wasn't even his friend. I was just dating his daughter. At this point, I started feeling guilty. Like I was sitting in the middle of a relationship I didn't understand. Like he had some emotional investment in me that I never asked for. My friends joked that he was adopting me, but it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like he was trying to rebuild something through me. Something he lost. Something he never healed from. And it wasn't my job to carry that. The breaking point came on Thanksgiving. We were all watching football. The house was full. Everyone was talking and laughing and passing around snacks. I got up to grab a drink from the kitchen, and her dad followed me. The moment we were alone, he cornered me, not aggressively, but urgently, and said, you know, you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. I said, what do you mean? He looked at me the way someone looks at a gravestone, with grief and recognition mixed together. Then he said, if you ever have a son, don't walk away from him, not even for a second. The world takes boys away too easily. My blood ran cold. Something about the way he said it didn't feel like advice. It felt like confession. I asked him softly, what happened to your son? He blinked fast. Then his face shut down, like someone pulled a curtain across it, and he walked away. For the rest of the evening, he didn't look at me, not once. It took 2 more months before the truth came out, and not from him. It came from Lily. She told me her dad had a son before he met her mom. A young teenage relationship that ended badly. The mother moved states away and cut contact. He tried to be involved, but the mother made it hard. Eventually, communication just stopped. He never talked about it, never processed it, never healed from it. And the boy would have been almost exactly my age. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The warm private talks, the cold public distance, the questions, the nostalgia, the fixation, the emotional weight he kept trying to unload on me. He wasn't talking to me. He was talking to the ghost of the son he never got back. And the worst part, he didn't even realize he was doing it. I wish I could tell you I handled it gracefully. I didn't. I pulled back, stopped visiting as often, stopped replying to his texts. I didn't know how to be the stand-in for someone else's grief. It felt wrong, heavy, like I was holding ashes in my hands and pretending it was a gift. I never told him what I knew. Lily never confronted him. Her mom knew, but she didn't meddle. And slowly, he stopped trying so hard with me. Maybe he realized I was pulling away. Maybe he just finally saw that I wasn't the person he wished I was. Now he treats me the same way in public and private, distant, polite, neutral. Honestly, I prefer that version, because at least now I know which version of him is real.